Hello and welcome. If you are watching this, it means you have made a very important decision. You are not just preparing for UPSC by studying more content. You are preparing to handle the exam the way it actually appears, under time pressure, under uncertainty, and under consequences. And that is exactly what this course is about. This is clear thinking under pressure. A 7-day course designed to help you perform better in the exam hall, not just in the study room. Now, let me tell you very honestly what this course is and what it is not. This course is not another content course. I am not here to give you more facts, more sources, more materials, or more overload. You already have enough of that. So, this course is about the gap the most aspirant never trade. The gap between knowing and performing, the gap between suppression and execution, the gap between study room confidence and exam hall control. Because many aspirants do study sincerely, they don't know the material. But when the paper begins, something changes. Time pressure increases. Questions start looking unfamiliar. Options begin to look similar. Doubt enters. Reading becomes careless. Risk taking becomes emotional. And marks are lost not because knowledge was absent, but because control was absent. That is the problem this course is built to solve. Over the next 7 days, we are going to work on the exact skills that helps you to stay clear, stable, and accurate under pressure. You will learn how to understand pressure correctly, how to reset your body quickly when stress rises, how to decode questions properly, how to think in structure instead of confusion, how to take decision under risk, how to recover after mistakes, and how to run a complete exam hall system across the entire paper. So, I want you to approach this course in the right way. Don't watch this like an entertainment. Don't watch this as a passive. Watch it is like a training. Keep a notebook with you. Write down your own triggers, your own mistakes, your own observations from the mock tests. And most importantly, after each class, apply that day's idea in actual timed settings. Because this course will help you only when it moves from understanding into habit. One more thing before we begin. If pressure has affecting your performance, that doesn't mean you are weak. It does not mean you are not serious, and it does not mean you are not capable of clearing this exam. It simply means you have not yet trained the specific skill. That changes now. So settle in, remote distraction, keep your mind open, and go through each day in sequence, because every session builds on the previous one. And by the end of day 7, you should not just feel motivated. You should have a working system you can actually carry into the exam hall. Let's begin. Alright. Before we begin, I want you to remove all distractions for a moment. Put your phone away, not on silent, actually away. Because what I am going to talk about in the next few minutes is something I don't want you to half hear, okay? Not because this is motivational, not because it is meant to inspire you, but because the most UPSC aspirants carry a belief about pressure that is completely wrong. And that wrong belief will cost them marks in the hall. So, whatever the belief aspirants have about the pressure, that costing marks in their real-time examination. So let me start with situation that might feel very familiar. So think about the last time you walked out of the mock test feeling frustrated. Maybe you remember telling yourself something like this. I knew this topic. I studied it properly. Okay. I studied it properly. So why did it go wrong inside the hall? Why? Okay. And if you replay that moment honestly, the explanation you gave yourself probably sound like one of these. Maybe you thought I wasn't prepared enough. So it is like self-blame. You start blaming yourself by saying I wasn't prepared enough, right? Or you told yourself maybe I'm just not smart enough for UPSC. And you will discourage yourself by saying like this. What? I am not smart enough for UPSC. Okay. Or you look at other performing better and concluded they are simply better than me. So you will compare others to yourself and you will conclude that they are better than you, right? But the interpretation, that explanation you gave yourself is where the real problem begins. So whatever the explanation you have given here, that is the real problem, right? That is the real problem. Because what actually happens inside the exam hall was something very different. In exam hall, something is very different, right? Your preparation was still there. You prepared very greatly, very good. Your preparation was very good. Your knowledge didn't disappear there. Your knowledge was still in the exam hall. But the moment pressure appeared, your knowledge was still there. But when pressure appeared, the clock running unfamiliar wording in questions, similar looking options. Your brain interpreted that pressure as a signal that something was wrong with you. So this pressure signaled your brain something is wrong with you, right? So not because you forgot the content, but because the meaning you gave to the pressure was incorrect. So here the problem is this, because the meaning you gave to pressure was incorrect. And today the first thing we are going to do is correct that meaning, right? These are the things what you gave explanation because of your low marks, right? Now the correct meaning of pressure. So let's start with a simple question. What exactly pressure is? What exactly a pressure is? Not philosophical, not emotional, scientifically. Pressure is three conditions appearing at same time. So before that, what pressure is, we will look what you believe. Pressure is equal to I am failing. It starts with self-blaming. Reading accuracy drops. Panic spreads. Mark lost. And in the same way, what is actually true? Pressure is equal to exam is working. The exam is working. Structural conditioning. Okay, not personal failure. Selection signal. So manageable. I hope you are getting my point. So the wrong interpretation, not pressure itself, is what destroy exam performance. So one shift in meaning, significant change in outcome. So what exactly the pressure is? So what exactly the pressure is, what UPSC pressure actually is. So not philosophical, not emotional, not as it is a very core scientifically we can define pressure as pressure is three conditioning appearing at the same time. So pressure is three conditions appearing at same time. First one is speed. Okay, you have limited time, right? Decision must be quick and there is no pause button. In the same way, no second chance. The next comes uncertainty. Questions look unfamiliar. Options look similar. Familiar topics behave strangely and no clear path forward. This is what uncertainty. So third one is consequences. So one full year at stake. I hope you are getting my, this is the most important component of the pressure. So one full year of preparation at stake, negative marking, high competition, psychological weight. So this is the combination. Pressure is the combination of speed plus uncertainty plus consequences, right? When speed plus uncertainty plus consequences combine, pressure is not just possible, it is guaranteed. I hope you are getting my point. The real definition of the pressure is speed plus uncertainty plus consequences. I hope you are getting my point. If you feel pressure in exam hall, the examics function exactly the way UPSC designed. So if you are feeling pressure, if aspirant is feeling pressure, so UPSC designed successfully, right? You are not malfunctioning here. If you are feeling pressure, you are simply inside the real test. So pressure is the test and you are inside that pressure test. Now think about something honestly for a moment. If UPSC only wanted to test knowledge, what would they do? They could easily ask direct factual questions, right? Simple recall, straight information. But they don't design the paper like that. Why? Because UPSC is not selecting students who can memorize facts. So UPSC don't want students who memorize facts. This is clear, right? So UPSC is selecting future administrators. It is selecting future administrators. Right? So people who will one day make decision when information is incomplete. When information is incomplete, right? Time is limited and the consequences are serious. So you want to train in prelim stage only for future purpose. In other words, the exam is not only testing what you know, it is testing how you think when conditions are imperfect. So many of us can think very correctly with a perfect scenario when the condition is perfect. But when the conditions are imperfect, how you are thinking, that is the test. So when question feels ambiguous, when option feels uncomfortable closely, when time starts feeling tight, UPSC is not being unfair, asking a deeper question. Not do you know this? UPSC is not asking do you know this? But instead, can you think clear right now? That is the major question of the UPSC. I hope you are getting my point. So pressure is structural, not personal. So UPSC built pressure in the exam hall through a structure. It is not designed for personal experience, right? So this signal inside removes self-blame from the equation. So pressure is structural condition of the UPSC exam. If you feel it, the exam is functioning exactly as designed. You are not malfunctioning, right? In the same way it is engineered. UPSC could write simpler, more direct question. It choose not to deliberately because The confusion is the test, right? It hits everyone. Even a topper feels pressure. The difference is not absence of pressure. It is what they do with it with first 30 seconds. That is what the topper and a normal aspirant will differentiate from themselves, right? It is predictable because it is a structural. It is predictable. Predictable things can be prepared for. You can build a protocol for known condition. So you have understood that pressure is not a personal thing, but pressure is a structural thing in UPSC exam. So when you know the structure, it becomes predictable. So when it is predictable things can be prepared. So you can build a protocol for a known condition, right? Now, it is not an evidence. Pressure appearing is not an evidence you are unprepared. It is evidence that exam has entered evaluation mode. I hope you are getting my point. So, now I want to introduce a distinction that almost no preparation strategy talks about. There are actually two different types of intelligence involved in UPSC preparation. Okay? Two different intelligence involved in UPSC preparation, right? The first is what I call as study room intelligence, right? And this is the intelligence you use when you are studying at home. You have unlimited time, right? Your notes are open. You can pause, think, reread, check references, right? In that environment, your brain is calm and analytical, right? Study room intelligence answer one question. This intelligence answer one question. Do I know this topic? This is the question where study room intelligence can answer. If it is yes, yes. If it is no, no, right? But inside the exam hall, a complete different type of intelligence is required. Right? In exam hall, time is running. Questions look unfamiliar. You get only one attempt to decide. Exam hall intelligence asks a different question. That is, can I still think clearly under pressure? This is the question which asked by the exam hall intelligence. So most aspirants spend year building study room intelligence. So many of the aspirants spend these strategies, study room intelligence. So very few train exam hall intelligence. And the gap between the two is exactly where the marks are lost. So study room intelligence and exam hall intelligence. This gap creates toppers. When aspirant fill this gap, he become topper, right? And the gap between the two is exactly where marks lost. This course is designed to close that gap. So when you attend all these 7 days of course, you will get a clear-cut roadmap how to solve a questions with a calm mindset in exam-like situation. So this course is designed to close that gap, right? So pressure is selection signal. It is very clear, and what we have understood in this 21 minutes is pressure is selection signal. So UPSC pressure exists specifically to eliminate one type of candidate, the one who collapses under uncertainty, not the one who is unprepared, right? The candidate who does what? The panic after one tough question. He will panic. Starts reading question faster than the comprehension. Okay. What do you mean by this? What is the difference between the reading question faster than comprehension? Okay. The main aim of the question, the main aim of the aspirant is to read the question, but not to comprehend it. But when an aspirant train in exam like intelligence, then he will comprehend as well, right? Loses elimination discipline, all options start looking correct, right? Begins compensating emotionally, attempting zone 3 questions blindly, right? So they will start over attempting, right? And carries one mistake forward, contaminating the next 10 decision. This is very, very critical point for an aspirant because he studied for whole 1 year. He read all the magazines of current affairs. He solved many PYQs. He solved in many test series. But when comes to one mistake under the pressure, that one mistake will carry forward to another 10 questions because he will have that pressure that because of the pressure he could correct if A, B, C, D are 4 options. He knows B is the correct answer in the exam like conditions also. But because of the pressure, because of the speed, because of the uncertainty, because of the consequences, he could mistakenly make this as a correct one. So by realizing this incorrect question, this question will destroy all other 10 questions because in his mind there is a guilt of marking this C as a correct. I hope you are getting my point. So carries one mistake forward, contaminating the next 10 decisions. If you feel pressure, you are inside the selection zone, not outside it. That is the correct interpretation. So you should feel happy that I am in the pressure mode. But you should not define the pressure as other aspirants. You should define the pressure as the speed, uncertainty, and consequences. When these controllable components are in control by you, you can control the pressure, right? Pressure is structural. I hope you are getting my point. So now let us talk about the panic for a moment, because there is a very dangerous myth around it. Many aspirants believe, okay, when pressure arises, they will into the panic mode. Normal aspirants. So many aspirants believe that panic means they forgot what they studied. So when they start their panic mode, they believe that they forget what they studied, right? But biologically, that is not what panic means. But biologically, that is not panic, right? Panic simply means your brain detect uncertainty combined with risk. So here the panic definition by biological term is your brain detect uncertainty combined with risk. So survival system activates. So brain activates your survival system. So heart rate increase, right? Breathing becomes shallow, right? Blood shift away from the thinking center of the brains. I hope you are getting my point. This is the biological conditions after the pressure, and after the pressure you will get into the panic mode. So biologically what happening is survival system, your heart rate will increase, breathing will become shallow, blood shift away from the thinking center of the brain. So cognitive bandwidth narrows. So here your cognitive intelligence will become narrow because blood is shifting away from the thinking center of the brain. Narrow, right? That is the entire mechanism. So panic is signal, not a verdict. I hope you are getting my point. The real damage happens when aspirant interpret the signal incorrectly. So if you understand that you are attacked with the panic situation, these are the conditions which where you biologically undergoes. Survival system will on, heart rate rises, breathing shallow, blood shift away from the thinking process. So because like conditions, biological process is very important, right? So they feel panic and immediately conclude something is wrong with me, and the moment they believe that conclusion, performances drops. Okay, they observe this and they will think something is happening to me, and the moment they believe that conclusion, performances drop, right? So here the reframe I want you to start practicing is, the next time pressure appears in mock test or exam hall, instead of thinking something is wrong with me, try this thought instead. So you should not feel something is wrong with me. Something is wrong with me. You should not feel like that. Instead of this, you have to feel UP have switched to evaluation mode. UPS have shifted to evaluation mode, right? Then what I need to do? My job is to switch to control mode, right? That is the one shift which can change everything. I hope you are getting my point. So you should not feel because of your biology. I mean to say biology means because of the pressure, because of the panic mode, what your body feels, right? That should not be in your case. What you have to do, we have switched to evaluation mode. So it has been shifted to evaluation mode. Now I should be aware of that, and my job role is to switch into the control mode. So you have to take control of the situation biologically. I hope you are getting my point. But there is a deeper consequence of misinterpreting pressure. When pressure is interpreted as failure, so negative interpretation of pressure is failure, right? Three very specific things happen inside the exam hall. First, reading becomes careless. Reading become careless, right? You miss words like not or except. You read the topic but not the instructions. You read the topic, not the instructions, right? Second, elimination discipline collapses. All four options suddenly look plausible. Third, risk behavior become irrational. Risk behavior becomes irrational, right? So you either start attempting blindly or you start skipping question you actually knew. So every one of these behavior cost marks. Okay, every one of these behavior cost marks. So the problem with pressure is not that it exists. So problem with pressure is not that it exists. The problem is that it is misunderstood. It is misunderstood, right? So, before we end today's session, I want you to do one simple self audit. Think about your last few mock tests. At what moment does your performance start dropping, right? For some aspirant, it happens when they see unfamiliar question. For others, it happens when time starts running low. Speed, right? For someone, they can feel when they hear others writing quickly. Okay, other are solving the MCQs very quickly. And in the same way, some feels it after realizing they have marked one wrong answer. So these are the vulnerability of getting into the panic mode. Okay, getting into the panic mode is not a crime, but not controlling it biologically, physically is a crime. So you have to identify your own triggers. Okay, identifying your own triggers is not weakness, it is a intelligence. Okay, because you cannot control something you have not identified. So for day one lesson, what you have to need is you have to identify your own triggers. If you identify your own triggers, that means you are cracking one of the code of the exam hall intelligence, right? Today we didn't learn any technique, we did something more important. We corrected the meaning of pressure. From today onwards, remember this one line before every mock test. Pressure is information. Okay, pressure is information, panic is misinterpretation. I hope you are getting my point. And over the next 6 days, I am not going to teach you how to feel calm. Okay, I am not going to teach you how to feel calm. I am going to teach you how to operate inside pressure. So what we have concluded, pressure is common, and that is the game of the UPSC. Pressure game is the game of UPSC. So you were all outside the pressure and preparing for pressure game. But what I wanted is you should be inside the pressure and you have to prepare. I hope you are getting my point, right? I am going to teach you how to operate inside the pressure like a pilot flying through turbulence, not trying to remove it, but learning to control the aircraft while it exists. Okay, we will begin that process in the next session. See you in day 2. Thank you. Thank you so much.